If you hear me, Stephen. So that the conference is opened on your computer twice, so you need to close one of them so you don't hear the echo. You can try now, Stephen. I hope it's okay now.
Is it okay now? Good. Thank you so much for your guidance. I didn't realize I had opened. Actually, there were three. So that's why I was feeling the echo. Thank you very much for inviting myself and UNDP to participate in this summit. It's an honor, and I'm very excited to participate in it. Today, I'll be sharing some of the work UNDP has been doing over the years in the MENA region, especially concentrating on the examples of innovative private-public sector partnership that we have been doing for clean energy transition in MENA. Next slide, please. First, I want to sort of take you through some of the things that we see as UNDP as tipping points that are shaping financing and investment in this region. There has been, especially for the last 2 years, there has been a lot of concerns about inequality and youth unemployment. There has been awareness of the scale of subsidies and how it is impacting the economies and social safety nets. In fact, that has led to a lot of activities towards reforming fossil fuel subsidies. And we have had a lot of linkages and recognition of planetary crisis, including climate change. And an interesting one of the tipping points which came because of COVID and other things, which brought to the realization that there has been a lot of inequality, especially in the digital world, and also the fact that part of this region is affected by conflicts and many other things. All these things are sort of shaping the way UNDP is rethinking how to approach sustainable energy and clean energy work in the region. Next slide. I just wanted to sort of give a quick, before I go to my examples, a quick a show of how things are moving. It looks like the trajectory is positive, which is good. If you look at what since the last 10 years, from 2008, 2018, there has been quite movement, in terms of investments and financing of renewable energy projects in the region, which is a very good positive trajectory. Next slide, please. Here I wanted to show the summary of, because when I talk about the examples that I'll be talking about, I would like everybody to understand how UNDP looks at the whole thing. The major activity of UNDP is to try to develop that viable ecosystem that you allow private sector investment and financing in the whole sector of energy transition. And the main work that we do is we work with governments in the region to build their institutional capacity, especially when looking at long-term policies that can allow the private sector to feel comfortable to invest in renewable energy. The major, when policies are short-term, for example, 5 years, it becomes very difficult for private sector to be able to have the confidence to invest. So we tend to work with government to support them develop these long-term policies and regulatory frameworks that helps to incentivize investments. The other thing we look at, of course, is data and knowledge management, because a private sector needs to know what is there, what are the resources that are available in terms of renewable energy resources, everything that is happening both in the confection of fuels to renewable energy fuels. The other thing that we work very much with governments and the private sector is to try to develop new business models. For example, long-term agreements, PPAs, things that you allow the activities to happen on the ground. If you look at those two activities, they are happening at the upstream level, at the policy level with governments. But we also have the downstream activities, which of technologies on the ground. These type of activities, we do them, and the examples that I'll be talking about is a reflection of this. Are things that you can call them sort of piloting activities, because when the private sector comes, it's expected that that kind of activities is scaled up, because the activities we do are not heavy investments. These are grant-funded projects which are small to show some pilots. The last part that we do is we foster innovations. Recently, UNDP moved to a big push on innovations, on the way we do business in terms of development. And we have even started what we call UNDP Accelerator Labs to help in rethinking, the way we do business in terms of working with government, the private sector, and everybody else to support development activities on the ground. Next slide, please. Now, this all the work that we do, we can summarize it in, for example, because UNDP is in over 130 countries. We share best practices all over the world based on what UNDP has been doing, and we bring it to the region in terms of energy transition. We also, as I said, work very closely with the governments to deal with policies. And one of the ones in this region that we do is helping the development of national renewable energy action plans and also national energy efficiency action plans, REAPs and NEAPs, which of course sort of forms a roadmap for where the government want to go. We also support innovative financing, including green bonds, leveraging MDBs and multilateral climate finance institutions, because we are part of the GEF implementation agencies and also the GCF. So, and other what we can call global funds, climate change funds. We the other thing that we do very much is to try to align renewable energy, sustainable energy activities to sustainable development goals, so that the governments can, we can link the energy activities to what governments are doing on the ground. And finally, of course, it's the scaling up of activities through accelerated activities, including new technologies. Second slide, please. Here is just a summary of, when you take all those activities that we do, we can say we are supporting, incentivizing innovation, research, development, and diffusion of technologies, renewable technologies. And I just wanted to show how all these are linked to the public sector and private sector. And as you can see there, the public sector and the private sector works in concert to be able to achieve the long-term goals. And now I'll go to some of the examples of the work that we do. Next slide. Yeah, UNDP has a big portfolio of activities in this region. And here I just mentioned a few of them. They range from small projects that we deploy technologies to projects that are dealing with policies and regulatory frameworks in different parts of the region. And the most important thing of all these projects is that there is close sharing of experiences and lessons from each of the projects to another country or another project, which helps to build what you can call the knowledge for one particular aspect to another. Next slide, please. And here, just to give a few examples of what we have been doing, as I mentioned before, most of our work has to do with developing capacities for governments to have the benefits that can help investments. And I just wanted to mention some two case studies here on Tunisia and Lebanon, where we have been supporting de-risking of renewable energy investments, looking at mostly policy de-risking activities so that investors can increase their financing and investment in the region. And I'll also be talking a little bit in more details about a project that we have been doing in Egypt in terms of energy efficiency and how we have worked with the private sector to move it forward. Next slide. Yeah, the Egypt project is a very interesting project. I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this in the sense that it involved a very innovative aspect whereby the grant money that we got, which was 19 million, was shared with the private sector to experiment on some activities, and we worked with the private sector to pilot some of the activities with some of the bank, like the Commercial Bank of Egypt and others. And the idea was to introduce LED lighting to reduce consumption, which was quite successful. And because of that, many private sector agencies started coming in, and they actually started supporting the activities through their own resources. The grant part, the 25% grant that we gave, was just to support the piloting, but because of that, other private sector agencies start coming in to do the same activities. And I possibly it's because of the investment payback period was quite low. It was just 6 months. You could recoup the investments. Next slide, please. Just to give a little bit more details on some of the activities, it was a 19 million project, and which is quite small in terms of investments, and it's grant money mainly from the GF. And the one of the most interesting part of this project is the energy savings that it resorted to by the time it finished. Of course, the project is still going on in terms of activities, but this is just to say, when we closed the project, the kind of savings that we got was quite substantial. As you can see, from 4.35 TWh to 5.4, which is quite a lot. Which it was equivalent to about 1,040 megawatts of a coal-fired plant, if you look at it that way. And we had about 43 pilot projects with different private sector agencies and also the public sector combined. And as I say, the most innovative part of that project is the fact that there was this 25% cost sharing between the private sector and the public sector. And now, as we speak, these activities have become sustainable in Egypt. In most of the hotels in Egypt are using these type of technologies in their lighting system. But it moved from lighting to also heating and cooling. So it was not just limited to lighting. Next slide. I wanted to talk a little bit more about a project we did. We have been doing in Lebanon for the last 15 years. It's called CEDRO. CEDRO project, as now we are in CEDRO 5. We started with CEDRO 1, CEDRO 2, until now. And it has done quite a lot of work in which cannot, of course, be summarized in one or two slides. But the most important thing to note there is that CEDRO has done quite a lot of work in trying to remove barriers that can allow market activities in renewable energy. All sorts of renewable energies, from solar to wind to biomass and everything else. And the main activities is the main thing that we are doing is to ensure that there is the regulatory framework is there are credit lines, there are, all the things that could be done. And for CEDRO 5, the kind of CO2 emission reduction is estimated at 1664 tons. That is excluding the other phases of CEDRO, CEDRO 1 to 4, and it is expected to create quite a lot of employment and savings of estimated of about 273 euros for CEDRO 5 alone, just for comparison. And that web there that I'm showing there is just to show the kind of things that are happening in Lebanon in terms of policies and government activities. As you can see, it's a mix. It's a mixture of successes and failures in some aspects. But just to say that this project has been very successful in terms of attracting in private sector investments in Lebanon. Next slide, please. And now I want to talk about a very innovative project that we are starting now. It's a new project. It's still under development. It's a partnership between UNDP, ELENA, and LECRI. And the project will be, we are designing it as a platform to support green recovery in the region, after the COVID and its economic downturn, and what we are expecting is that this project will help implement the ALAP Sustainable Energy Strategy, which is, as you might be aware, the Sustainable Energy Strategy will guide the ALAP countries through the League of Arab States to implement various activities ranging from renewables, energy efficiency, and energy access. And one of the major aspects is Pan-Arab Clean Energy Initiative, which focuses primarily on renewable energy. So this platform is focused in helping implementing that, and it will look at the de-risking of sustainable energy financing and investments for all stakeholders. It is, as I say, tailored to bring about green recovery using sustainable energy in terms of reducing inequalities, dealing with planetary crisis, and also powering a very diversified economic growth in the region. One of the major highlights of this project is that everything will be looked at in terms of innovations in financing, new business models, looking at the business models that has been there and new ones that are emerging, new technologies and investment. As you are aware, this region now it's becoming, there are a lot of interest in, for example, green hydrogen, technologies like those, technologies like e-mobility, and also digitalization of the whole energy sector, all these things. So this project will be also looking at all this and supporting activities to do with that. Next slide, please. Yes, the main outcomes of this project, of course, is increased financing and investment in the region as we implement the ALAP Sustainable Energy Strategy. It will also help to enhance integration of sustainable energy and other development priorities. As I mentioned before, this is one of the biggest pillars of UNDP, linking energy with other development priorities. And also, it has a special focus on closing the energy gap in LDCs in the region. There are not many, but where they exist, we would like to close the energy gap. And also for countries that have had problems with conflicts and fragility, this project will also focus some of the activities there. Next slide, please. In a nutshell, this project will, at the end, help increased actions related to policies, regulatory frameworks, institutional capacity of governments, data management, and also enhance readiness for financing and investments. I would like to mention that we are currently looking for partners and stakeholders, and those listening to what I'm talking about now, you are all welcome to contact us to see how you can participate in this project. It's still in development, so we can easily accommodate different stakeholders in the project. Over. This is my last slide.
Thanks so much. Very interesting. And also, I would like to thank all the summit sponsors: Green Parking, Standard Chartered, CETA, Pinsent Massons, Innova, Catic Mobility, ESB International, Hager Group, Enoch, Emirates National Oil Company, Lockton, and Iskami as well. So again, thanks all for joining, and please keep following our website and social media. We'll be posting about the webinar that's coming up. We have a few other webinars coming up as well, and the white paper and a few other publications which should be interesting for you as well. So please keep an eye, and thank you all for joining, and have an excellent and a great day. Thank you.